It's been a hard day's night, and I've been working like a dog. It's been a hard day's night, I should be sleeping like a log. But when I get home to you, I find the things that you do will make me feel alright.
Who's really to say that the relationship that lasted 5 years is better than the relationship that lasted 3 years? Just because the one that lasted 5 years lasted longer. It doesn't, it shouldn't work that way. Relationships should be based on the content in the relationship, not, it should be based on quality, not quantity. We have the,
So you're telling me length doesn't matter?
Oh my god.
Things are just different. People have to accept that times are different, and we don't live in those times when relationships would you marry one person and then everything is you're with that person.
And you get stoned to death if you even think of that relationship.
Yeah, things are just not the same as they always have been, and you just kind of have to roll with it. And
I mean, not to mention, part of the reason, if it were a choice for them to stay in those relationships longer, then that's their choice.
Yeah.
But a lot of the time, it was because of social pressures and social stigmas to if you were a woman, not be called a whore or a slut for leaving your husband, or if your husband, just not being called just a shitty person you can't provide.
My grandmother was married 3 times, and because of that, my mom had a lot of people bullied her because of my grandma, because they lived in a small town in Mexico, and tradition was just everything. So to be married several times is really bad, and also people didn't I saw that I was looking at the statistic about how often people used to lose their virginity to prostitutes because marriage was only allowed one time. People didn't want to just have sex with one person, so a lot of people lost their virginity to prostitutes before this whole thing where it was okay to have premarital sex.
So maybe times aren't as good as they used to be. But the point still remains.
So prostitution has gone down because women are more willing to sleep with you before they're married.
If you're one of those people who makes it last for a while, and you guys find that 30 years down the road you still enjoy each other's company, nothing's changed, and that's great. I'm not saying that that's wrong. What I'm saying is that if you're sticking in that relationship because, it's familiar, it's easy,
that's when it's bad.
That's when it's bad. You're not making a choice based off of what's best for you. You're making a choice based off of what's most convenient for you. We're constantly changing every day as we learn more things, as we grow as a person, that we realize that things that are good for us today aren't necessarily good for us tomorrow, and things that were good for us today aren't the same things as yesterday.
When I got married and I decided I didn't want to have a ring, everybody was like, you have to have a ring. I'm like, why do I have to have a ring? I talked about it with my wife and she's okay with it, so why do I have to do it the way that she's not?
It's not like she's ever going to hear this.
She's editing the video.
Thanks, Nick. I didn't know that.
She's
I talked about this earlier.
She's learned to accept me because I'm in a relationship where we understand each other, we can be honest, and people are
and because you don't
people are surprised that I'm able to be so honest with her about stuff.
But imagine if you couldn't be.
Then I wouldn't be in that relationship.
Really?
No. I'll probably still be with her no matter what. Alex Zafra, who is a member of the Cabbage Fat Kids and has an upcoming blog called Guys with Cats.
I'm in there.
Anyways, Alex, who's a fan of critical thinking and whatnot, and loves the movie 500 Days of Summer, just like pretty much everybody at this table, right? He's gotten, like me, a lot of complaints about people that say that they don't like Summer from the movie, and he found a quote from Joseph Gordon-Levitt talking about the movie, how it doesn't make sense for him to want to be in a relationship with her because he's projecting all of his happiness onto her. Because he's unhappy, he's in a place in his life where he doesn't have anything else. So he has to project his happiness onto this person, and that's not healthy for a relationship because that's not being in love with a person, that's being in love with the idea of a person.
And not only that, but from the very beginning, Summer is very explicit in saying that she's not looking for any serious long-term commitments, but at the same time, Joseph Gordon-Levitt is like, we're going to get married, and we're going to have a house. And he, like David was saying, he was really projecting all of his ideals and perceptions of what a woman should be and what he should have in a relationship onto her, but that was too much for her, which makes sense because from the very beginning she didn't want commitment, she didn't want anything like that. The whole idea behind Summer in that movie is that she essentially just has a connection with him isn't sure what it is and doesn't want to really like go too far like with it. And I think that's something that Joseph Gordon-Levitt and a lot of other people don't like respect, because they have these extremely romanticized views and they feel that if anyone else doesn't share these perceptions of what a relationship should be, then like they're just a horrible person or they're just playing you. But she wasn't.
Yeah.
She was honest from the beginning. A couple years later, I feel myself relating more to Summer because like you've already kind of gone around a little bit. You kind of have an idea of what you want, but even though you have an idea of what you want, like you still fuck, I'm kind of lost. Damn it.
Go watch this.
That just because you have an idea of what you want doesn't mean that the person that you're with is going to have the exact same view.
Thank you. That's exactly what I was trying to say.
You believe that at the end of the day, it's a shared drive to a certain goal, or
Yeah.
In like a meaningful, like long-term, significant relationship. Yeah.
In any types of relationships. I think that's why we have this relationship. Well, that's the show, everybody. I hope you liked it.
It looks like we've reached Dave's end.